The key to becoming rich, leveraging the power of leverage. Is creating wealth from scratch really that difficult? First, let me share a rather strange true story. An American programmer named Bob earned a salary of $250,000 per year. However, in 2012, his company discovered something unusual. The internal system recorded logins from China using Bob's account and password. Initially, the company thought they were under a cyber attack. But after a thorough investigation, the truth came to light. There was no hacker. Bob had hired a Chinese programmer for $50,000 per year to do his job. This meant Bob barely had to work while still earning $200,000 annually. Although this behavior violated company policies, if we think deeper about the logic behind it, we'll see that Bob utilized a tool called leverage. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to follow the channel for more money truths and tips to achieve financial freedom quickly. Think Billionaires channel welcomes you all. There are legal and compliant methods to use leverage to build wealth. In the realm of physics, Archimedes once said, "Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I can lift the entire earth." In the realm of wealth, today I'll recommend a book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Its Vietnamese title translates to Naval Ravikant, The Path to Wealth and Happiness. This book is a valuable resource, offering several leverage tools to help you create wealth. In this book, Naval argues that we should no longer divide people into rich and poor or upper and lower classes. Instead, modern society should be divided into two groups: those who know how to use leverage and those who don't. So, who is Naval, and what methods does he offer for creating wealth? Who is Naval? Naval was born into a poor family in India and immigrated to the U.S. at age 9. Like many immigrants, his family had no money. As a young boy, he even had to work under-the-table jobs in restaurants to make a living. Due to the unsafe conditions in New York at the time, his mother required him to only go to the library. So, every day, he moved between home and the library. At 21, he graduated from Dartmouth, a prestigious university. By 27, he became a founding partner of the venture capital firm August Capital. Naval successfully invested in many startups like Twitter and Uber, earning him the nickname the Godfather of Silicon Valley. His greatest skill is creating wealth from nothing. Naval once said that if he lost everything and was left on the streets of any English-speaking country, he believes he could become rich again within 5 to 10 years. He's a thinker who often shares his views on wealth and life on Twitter, quickly gaining attention from many young people. These thoughts were compiled into the book The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Naval's attitude toward wealth. Naval believes that pursuing wealth doesn't conflict with maintaining ethics, and wealth brings you and your family a freer, happier life. For Naval, money and wealth are two different concepts. The difference between money and wealth. What is the essence of money? According to Naval, money is a promissory note society gives you when you contribute to it. When you add value to society, society rewards you with this promissory note, money. Understanding that money is just a promissory note, what should we do? Clearly, the only way is to create more value for society to receive more promissory notes. So what is wealth? Wealth is something that can generate money even while you sleep. For example, a rental property is considered wealth because even when you're asleep, the property still generates income for you. Shares in a company are also wealth because even when you sleep, the company operates and creates profits. If you write a song and others use it, you receive royalties. That's your wealth. An author who writes a book can earn annual royalties without working. That's also wealth. These are examples of income after sleep, meaning income continues even while you're asleep. How to find your income after sleep? The key to wealth: turn yourself into a product. Naval says that creating wealth is a skill, and if it's a skill, it can be learned. What's the key to this skill? It's turning yourself into a product, which involves two important keywords: yourself and productization. Regarding yourself, the key is to find your unique edge. If you can be easily replaced, you don't have a unique edge. Your unique edge is the ability to identify your passions and strengths and develop them into a core competency. At any stage of life, your goal should be to continuously enhance your uniqueness and competency rather than seeking promotions or raises. So, what is productization? Productization is finding a leverage effect that amplifies the value of your abilities. For example, a consultant who provides services to different clients daily and charges fees isn't productizing. But if that person records their knowledge in videos and offers a membership service for anyone who needs it, that's productization. This is income after sleep. When pursuing wealth, we need to ask ourselves two questions. First, is this really what I want to do? Second, have I productized it yet? If you address these two questions, you'll have the ability to create wealth. Let's analyze how to do these two things in detail. Finding your talent. Finding your talent is the way to become your true self. Naval says that expertise cannot be taught, but can be learned. What does this mean? You can't simply take a course and immediately learn how to create wealth. Learning here means practicing, experiencing, and exploring. A mentor can guide you onto the right path, but progress depends on you. For example, wealth-building thinking can spark ideas and help you spot opportunities, but whether you can turn them into reality depends on your reflection and effort. No one understands you better than yourself. On the journey to becoming your true self, if you only think about becoming someone else or copying others, your path to wealth will face many obstacles. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, once said that starting a business means not following an existing path. If you see others doing something, avoid copying them. You must explore a path of your own. Every successful startup is an original creation. Even if two companies seem similar and operate in the same industry, their actual work can be completely different. That's the creativity in business. When choosing a career, the most important thing is to find your passion, not just focus on salary. A high salary means you're trading your time for money, which shows you don't yet have wealth because you lack income after sleep. Naval suggests paying attention to the latest technology as it brings new products and growth opportunities. Take plastic bags, for example. You might not consider them technology now, but when they were invented, they were a breakthrough in chemical engineering. If you had built a factory to produce plastic bags at that time, you'd surely have struck it rich because no one else could do it. Only you can find your own path. How did Li Ka-shing start his business? He began by selling plastic flowers, which at the time were considered a high-tech product. This shows that high-tech has a diffusion process. Once it becomes mainstream and is no longer cutting edge, you can't make money from it anymore. So, to make money, you need to constantly follow the most advanced technologies and how they can be applied. How to discover your personal expertise. You need to dig deep into your field. As you keep digging, you'll eventually create something new. That's your passion. This requires you to become a lifelong learner, constantly thinking and exploring. Ultimately, you'll achieve success. Personal talent always lies at the edges of knowledge, where you discover new things from your inner passion. To become rich, the most important skill is to become a lifelong learner. Even a PhD professor can't take you to the edge of knowledge. That journey must be your own, where, through solitude and persistence, you reach the limits of understanding. Be a brave, solitary individual who keeps thinking and exploring. You'll find your path. Naval says that, whether it's wealth, relationships, or knowledge, We must believe in the power of compound interest. Improving by 1% each day leads to significant change over a year. When you read more books, reading the next ones becomes easier. That's the power of compound interest. Similarly, in relationships and finance, you need to believe in compound interest and have a long-term vision. The compounding effect isn't obvious in the short term, but in the long run, it can create miracles. So, whether it's investing or making friends, you need to think long-term. Finding yourself and using leverage. After finding your true self, the next step is to use leverage. There are three main types of leverage to create wealth. First, labor leverage. This is the type of leverage Bob used in the opening story, or how Tesla's car manufacturing plants operate. It relies on using the labor of many people to amplify a company's wealth. If the cost of outsourcing a task is lower than the income it generates, you can consider outsourcing. Second, capital leverage. For example, a renowned fund manager in the financial industry can easily raise tens of billions of dollars to manage or invest for others. That's capital leverage. Third, technology leverage with near-zero replication costs. This is the newest and most important type of leverage. It includes products like code, media, books, recordings, and patents. Microsoft grew because Bill Gates wrote code and turned the Windows operating system into software that could be replicated and modified at near-zero cost. Writing code, writing books, creating videos, courses, posting on Twitter, or filming videos doesn't require you to interact with others, but can amplify the results of your labor. How does a writer make money? A writer can write a book and replicate it infinitely, continuously selling it on the market and generating ongoing income. These are the three types of leverage for creating wealth. How to combine leverage with your personal circumstances to find wealth leverage. To find wealth leverage, the first thing is not to chase trends, but to find your passion. Whatever you do, let your passion be the foundation, not just financial goals. Naval is a devoted fan of the Tao Te Ching. He says that the fewer desires you have, the less you worry and cling, allowing you to flow naturally. If you do something others are already doing, they can easily replace you. To gain economic benefits, you need to provide things society needs but can't easily find. So whatever you do, focus on the work itself, not on making money first. Focusing on the work itself is also a clear trait of creating art. Whether it's starting a business, exercising, loving, or making friends, the meaning of life lies in focusing on the process, experiencing, and enjoying the present. The magic is that when you focus on the work itself, you can do it better. Even in making money, you can become the one who earns the most. Naval says that the year he created the most wealth was actually the year he worked the least, put in the least effort, and cared the least about the future. He did most things simply because they were interesting. This allowed him to spend time on projects he found most valuable. By focusing only on the process, he achieved the best results. Earlier, we talked about the three types of leverage: labor, capital, and products with near-zero replication costs. If you use labor as leverage, it requires strong management skills. If you use capital as leverage, it demands a high social reputation. Otherwise, raising capital is tough. For the average person, the most critical type of leverage to consider is products with near-zero replication costs, such as books, media, films, and code. If you can code and write software, that's leverage, like Bill Gates. If you're into the internet, you can create a personal media account. Thanks to the internet, as long as you're the best in your field and can scale the unique content you provide. Even if your passion is niche, you can still grow. In the past, people divided humanity into two groups: the educated and the uneducated, or manual laborers and intellectual workers, or the rich and the poor. But according to Naval, he divides people into two groups: those who know how to use wealth leverage and those who don't. People with leverage can earn income even without working, thanks to things that help them make money. In contrast, those without leverage have no income if they don't work. Naval emphasizes that if you have expertise, responsibility, and know how to use leverage, the financial reward society gives you will match your value. Then, you'll save a lot of time and become extremely efficient. You won't need to attend meetings just to prove yourself or work hard to be recognized. Instead, you can focus on truly valuable work. The biggest issue with working for someone else is that you're selling your time. You want more money, so you try to prove your time is valuable. Why do office politics and hidden rivalries often arise in companies? Because everyone is trying to prove their worth. However, proving your worth and doing your job well are sometimes unrelated. People like Steve Jobs, why could he still come up with products like the iPod or iPhone after retirement? Because he didn't need to prove anything to anyone and focused solely on solving problems, entering a positive cycle. When you find leverage, you'll enter such a positive cycle. Without it, you're likely to fall into a negative cycle. How to achieve the leverage effect? Naval believes two skills are crucial: sales and building. People who are strong builders, like CTOs, programmers, or product creators, can create value. People with strong sales skills, like marketers, live streamers, or speakers, can push products to the market. If you have both skills, you can become a CEO. Even if you're not a CEO, just one of these skills is enough to help you gain some leverage. Naval advises us to make money with intelligence, not time. Some people earn a lot by selling their time, like dentists, lawyers, or soccer players. However, many rich athletes don't stay wealthy just from playing sports, but from managing finance as well. For example, Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James invested their earnings in companies. O'Neal was an early angel investor in Google. Naval also stresses not to break the law. Many people want to get rich quickly and are willing to break laws. But once you end up in jail, all your previous efforts may be in vain. So, be patient and move forward step by step. Even if 99% of your efforts seem wasted, you must persist and wait for the right opportunity. Another critical skill is judgment. Naval explains that CEOs are highly paid because of their judgment. A CEO with slightly better judgment than others can make a huge difference. For example, if two companies each manage $10 billion in assets, and one CEO is just 10% better than the other with a $10 billion scale, that difference equals $1 billion. That's why it's reasonable for CEOs to earn millions annually. This is normal. If their judgment is slightly worse, a business worth hundreds of billions could lose hundreds of millions. That's why judgment makes us more valuable and is a way to make money with intelligence. You need to set a value for your hourly work. When Naval wasn't yet successful and didn't have much money, he set his hourly rate at $5,000. If he spent an hour on something and felt it wouldn't bring at least $5,000, he wouldn't do it. Instead, he'd hire someone else or delegate the task. Each of us should set a value for our hourly work to focus on tasks with greater impact and higher exponential returns. How to amplify the leverage effect. When choosing an industry to apply wealth leverage, you should consider three big questions. First, where will you live? Second, who will you live with? Third, what will you do for a living? These three questions significantly impact a person's life, so you need to address them. For example, when choosing a city to live in, should you pick the South or the North, a political hub or an economic center, a big city or a small one? You need to think about this question because it relates heavily to your values and outlook on life. Naval's view on retirement. Naval offers a unique definition of retirement. He says retirement is when you no longer have to sacrifice the present to achieve an imagined future. When you can live in the present and fully enjoy each day, that's the state of retirement. Sacrificing the present means you're working just for money without enjoying it. If you still want to do this job at 100 years old, that's retirement. Don't misunderstand retirement as resting without working or learning. If you feel your work doesn't bring suffering or pressure and you truly love it, you've reached the state of retirement Naval describes. Warren Buffett goes to work each day with joy, like dancing. He says he doesn't feel like he's working, just enjoying the game of investing. Even in his 90s, he continues working. Outsiders might think he's working hard, but in reality, he's reached the state of retirement Naval talks about. How much money do you need to feel secure? Naval has his own perspective on this. After success, should you keep starting businesses? Naval says he doesn't worry about money, but is cautious about greed. You can have wealth and a relaxed life, but don't exaggerate your desires too much. Naval emphasizes not rushing to upgrade your lifestyle. Many people succeed in startups, but still feel lacking because they start expanding to larger offices, buying luxurious homes, or even renting yachts or private jets. When someone's lifestyle upgrades too quickly, they'll always feel poor and never enough. Naval encourages a minimalist lifestyle. He says you shouldn't engage in meaningless social relationships. Being an unknown person who knows Bill Gates is practically useless to you. Instead, you should strive to create something that makes Bill Gates seek you out, calling to ask, "Who made that? Help me find them." When you create something interesting and valuable, your abilities will attract others who want to connect with you. That's when the relationship truly holds value. Naval's view on happiness. We've talked about wealth. Now let's discuss Naval's perspective on happiness, which is also very inspiring. As mentioned earlier, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching deeply influenced Naval. He says happiness is a state where you don't need to strive to achieve it. All troubles stem from desire. As long as you have desires, troubles will arise. According to Naval, a life without a sense of lack is happiness. Sometimes we easily judge that this person is good, that person is bad. But if we always use good and evil to evaluate everything, it causes great harm to ourselves. The world doesn't change because of us, but we can change how we see the world. A common mistake is thinking that achieving something will make life complete. But after years of living, is your mind truly at peace after achieving those things, or do you keep desiring more? So, never think that achieving something will bring satisfaction. The most important thing is the present moment. If you want peace, live peacefully in this moment. Finally, always remember, expertise cannot be taught, but it can be learned. I sincerely hope everyone will live the life they desire. Thank you for following today's content. If you find my content valuable, don't forget to share it with friends and family. Follow me for more money secrets. Goodbye and see you again.